The menstrual cycle. What is the menstrual cycle? The menstrual cycle refers to the recurring changes in the female reproductive system necessary for pregnancy, produces a fertilizable oocyte, and prepares the uterus for implantation. There are two ovarian phases, the follicular phase and the luteal phase. Three endometrial phases, the menses or the menstrual phase, a proliferative, and the secretory phase. The ovarian phases result in the maturation, ovulation, and degeneration of an ovarian follicle. Phase, or the first ovarian phase, occurs during weeks 1 and 2 of the menstrual cycle. Follicle-stimulating hormone prompts the growth of an ovarian follicle. Follicle secretes estrogen. Estrogen causes the release of luteinizing hormone, which stimulates the follicle to release more estrogen, and more estrogen results in more luteinizing hormone. This is an example of positive feedback. The follicular phase corresponds to the menstrual and proliferative phases of the endometrial cycle. The follicle's rupture and an oocyte is released from the ovary. Ovulation is triggered by a spike in luteinizing hormone. Follicle degenerates into corpus luteum, and follicular and proliferative phases commences luteal phase and the secretory phase of endometrial cycle. Luteal phase, second phase of menstrual cycle, occurs during week 3 to 4 of menstrual cycle. Progesterone is produced by corpus luteum. Progesterone suppresses luteinizing hormone, which causes degeneration of corpus luteum. Degeneration of corpus luteum decreases progesterone production and leads to menstruation. Ends when corpus luteum shrivels into a corpus albicans. Endometrial phases occurs in endometrium, uterine preparation for a fertilized egg. There are 3 endometrial phases: menstrual phase, proliferative phase, secretory phase. Menstrual phase is the first endometrial phase. Uterus sheds liquefied endometrium. Week 1 of menstrual cycle. Breakdown of the endometrium resulting from a reduction in progesterone levels. Corresponds to early follicular phase of ovarian cycle. Proliferative phase, or the second endometrial phase, occurs during days 7 through 14 of the menstrual cycle. Increasing estrogen from the growing ovarian follicle causes regeneration and revascularization of the endometrium. Corresponds to late follicular phase in the ovaries. Secretory phase. It's the third and final endometrial phase. It occurs during weeks 3 to 4 of menstrual cycle. Progesterone generated by the corpus luteum further grows endometrium and causes it to secrete stuff. Corresponds to luteal phase of the ovarian cycle. The follicular phase of the ovarian cycle corresponds to the menstrual and proliferative phases of the endometrial cycle. The luteal phase of the ovarian cycle corresponds to the secretory phase of the endometrial cycle. That means these occur simultaneously, concurrently. Participating hormones in the menstrual cycle, we have the luteinizing hormone, or LH, which is secreted by the anterior pituitary, triggers ovulation or luteinizes follicle, develops and maintains corpus luteum, inhibited by progesterone. Follicle-stimulating hormone, FSH, secreted by anterior pituitary, grows ovarian follicles, inhibited by estrogen. Estrogen, secreted by maturing follicle, proliferates endometrium, inhibits follicle-stimulating hormone, progesterone, secreted by corpus luteum, causes endometrial secretions, and maintains its structural integrity, causes additional thinning and vascularization as well, inhibits both follicle-stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone.